Huh.
So, yeah, it was very weird.
That's very interesting.
I can see things like that. There's sometimes where I'll be minding my own business, and it'll be very much like a movie playing, and I see like this horrible person just jump in my face, and I'm just like, whatever, dude. Get out of my face. I don't care, whatever. But I mean, that's become like a daily routine for me. The things that I see all the time, and it's normal to me. So I'm, more or less like, yeah, whatever. Like, if you really have something important to say, you're gonna have to try a lot harder than that.
Yeah, been there, done that, dude. I'm not impressed with that. Oh, that's great. That's great. See, that kind of thing, I mean, I would love to be able to actually hear them. Maybe I'm just not opening myself up enough. I do feel them, and I can feel when they're sad, and I pick up their anger, and I pick up their anxiousness or their giddiness. I mean, I've picked up all kinds of stuff, even their illnesses. Felt like total crap, or like I've been hit by a truck, I've been perfectly fine and go into a location and, man, just something just overwhelms, and it's just weird. And I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on with me? And I didn't even know about my empathic abilities until about a year and a half ago. And so before then, I was just going in going, what is going on? Why do I have this beating headache, like somebody hit me in the head, all of a sudden, what is going on with me? So now that I understand that, it's easier for me to, I won't say shield, but it's easier for me to protect myself, kind of going in and knowing if that happens, what's going on, and to remove myself from the situation and clear whatever it is and then try again.
Yeah.
But it gets kind of ugly at times, but I was wanting to get your opinion on a couple of things, and I know that one thing that you are very, very well educated and schooled on is the Ouija board, because you designed some Ouija boards, and I've seen some of your designs, and they're really cool. What made you start wanting to make a Ouija board, and why were you not afraid? Because there's so much, I guess, fear over the actual use of the Ouija board.
Well, it's ironic you mention that, because when I started making them, I was, again, a young child, and it was around the time that I started having my experiences. So I guess, in a way, it did awaken the senses and got me going. But I don't remember exactly what it was that pushed me to want to do them. I don't remember if I had seen it on a movie or TV show. But whatever it was, it became some sort of passion for me. And, as a kid, I had to use what I had. And so I was using manila folders or pieces of paper. And I just kept making them, and I just continued to do that throughout the years. And it wasn't until here in the last few years that I started actually buying chunks of wood and, burning them into the wood and doing it that way. But otherwise, before, I was kind of drawing them on paper and, anything else I could find. It's been a passion and obsession. I'm not really sure which, but, I got to tell you, at my age, I've been using them for many, many years, and I've never once had a horrible incident happen. Never. So, and
it's because you have to know how to use them. You have to know, just like any other, recorder, or if you're going to put a REM pod down and ask them to use that, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You've got to close out your sessions, whether they be EVP sessions or whatever, wherever you're at, say thank you to the spirits for whatever you've given us. And you can't go home with us. Sorry about that, but you'll have to stay here. Things like that. You just got to do it right. I mean, when you're doing a Ouija board session, which I've never done one because I've always been told, it's a portal to hell. Is that not infuriating you just like it does Robert? Robert's like, oh my God, no, it's not.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, he and I see eye to eye on it. He's excellent with the history, and, he brought up a good point the last lecture that we did together, was that it wasn't until the more recent years that people started making the Ouija board, hell on earth, this is the worst possible thing you can play with, and things like that. When in the old days, when they were using it, nothing ever happened. So, where did it come from? It just all of a sudden started spawning demons. It doesn't make any sense. The bottom line is, yes, it is a tool just like any other device. And honestly, I think the scariest tool you can possibly use is yourself. Because when you go into a location and you're asking them to make contact with you, to touch you, or do anything like that, you're inviting them to you. And you don't know what they could possibly do to you. So what's more dangerous, that or using a board?
Exactly.
It's just another vessel for them to communicate through. And I got to tell you, I really don't use them much to communicate with ghosts. I did recently on an investigation I went on, and it did reveal all the same information that I was already getting throughout the night. So it was just sort of confirming things. But the thing is, and you can say this with the Ouija boards, the divining rods, or even a pendulum, which is, you never know who you're really, truly, honestly talking to, and you don't know whether or not they're telling you the truth. The other thing to consider is, I know when I was a kid, we always used to ask silly questions like, what's happening in our future, who we're going to marry, this and that. And they would give us answers, which clearly were not true. Which means, come on, ghosts, if they're still stuck here, they don't know what your future is. There's no way they could possibly know what your future is.
No.
So, people have to realize that they can't ask, ghosts about the future. And the other thing is, they're asking for dead ones to come through. What about, the possibility of them reading your thoughts and, manipulating it and telling you things that you want to hear, making you think that you're talking to a dead relative?
Exactly.
I mean, it could just go in so many different directions, and that's why I tend to not use them for that purpose. And when I do, I take it all with a grain of salt. Honestly, when I use my Ouija boards, I use them to connect with my spirit guides. And that always leads into the question of, how do I know it's my spirit guides and not a ghost? Well, typically it's one main spirit guide that comes through, and he always talks to me in a certain way. So if I ask a question and I start getting an answer that's not the way that he talks, I know that it's not him, and I pretty much know that whoever's coming through is full of BS, and I pretty much tell them to get lost. So,
yeah. That would be tough because, at least you have some, the ability to know, who you're talking to a hell of a lot more than I would. And, that leads into another question that I was going to ask your opinion on. Mm-hmm. I had Bishop James Long on a couple of weeks ago, and God, what an amazing show that was. And I've got to have him back on for 2 hours because of the points that we were talking about. And what burns his butt is all the demonologists that are popping up here and there.
Uh-huh.
And the reason being because supposedly, and I'm really not understanding why all of a sudden so many things are being claimed or tagged as demonic.
Right.
That is working, let me just say it, it's working my last nerve, because not every damn spirit or activity that's going on is demonic.
That's right.
My opinion is. Your opinion on that would be?
My opinion is the same. I mean, if you're going to go into a location and you know that whoever lived there before, or somebody that murdered people before, anything like that, if they were a nasty person when they were alive, hurting people, murdering people, you know, just demeaning them, what makes you think that they're going to change in spirit form? Unless they've crossed over to the other side where they're supposed to be, you know, then it's likely they're going to remain who they were when they were alive, which means they're going to be nasty, they're still going to push, they're still going to scratch people, pinch people, they're still going to, you know, have that nasty growl or anything they can do to raise fear in somebody. That's, you know, because that's who they were when they were alive. So that doesn't make them demonic, it just makes them nasty people.
Right, and nasty spirits, you know, and that's what I don't appreciate, is the fact that everyone is to the point of to where their level of fear is so bad that they are having to go and call this, that, and the other, because these teams are going in there, these people are going in there and going, oh God, yeah, you got like a demonic spirit in there, when in all reality, in all actuality, the cases of them being demonic are so few and far between.
Yes.
That it is so rare. And the people that are supposedly demonologists, and this is per, you know, Bishop Long, so I don't want to get any hate mail or, you know, hate messages about, you know, from demonologists. This is what he said. That the demonologists that are claiming to be demonologists, what they're doing is actually doing, they're actually doing what he called like a deliverance type thing. They're not doing an actual exorcism. And that could stir up a little bit more issue than beforehand, you know, before they started it.
Yeah.
Because an actual exorcist, someone who can actually perform an exorcism when it's necessary, is trained. They are trained for that for years. And, you know, when people that claim to know what they're doing because they got on it online and they got one of their little certificates for, you know, $19.99 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They go into these houses and they say, yeah, I'm a demonologist and I get rid of all these nasty things that are going on in your house. And what they do sometimes, as he says, is they stir up stuff so badly that what seems to be non-demonic could get really ugly to where they would think it was demonic, and then they have to call in the real guy. And by that time, it's elevated to where people are hurt. And that's what he gets scared about, is all these people that are claiming that they can do these things, and they're really not trained to handle things like that.
Right.
So it's causing some issues along, you know, the lines of keeping things, I don't know, not demonic, not scary for people. And it's so sad to me, because it used to be just, oh, I got ghosts, I got activity. Now it's like, oh, God, I think I got a demon in my house, you know. And it's like, no, it really didn't. You really don't have a demon in your house. Simmer down. They're just trying to get your attention, first off, okay? Most times they're just trying to get somebody's attention.
Well, the TV shows aren't helping matters either.
Yeah, no. And that's the